bringing us into the afternoon with RISC-V. So thank you so much for showing up, for joining the community, for engaging, contributing, committing, charting your destiny with RISC-V as we have here. It is such an honor to join Embedded World once again. So let me start with just catch everyone up. As we've overcome challenges throughout the world, whether it's a pandemic or a technical challenge, we overcome these challenges by coming together through collaboration. Through collaboration that helps us progress the state of the art, realize new supply chains, tackle new markets. These are the things that you do when you collaborate in the open. And there are many examples of this, not just in technology. But there are three things that I want you to think about as we, kind of travel through this talk together. First, RISC-V is inevitable. You may have seen it in the headlines already, but as you look across computing, from the smallest embedded to the most scale-out HPC implementations in cloud data centers, you are seeing RISC-V come through and start to take the hearts and minds as well as the investments of companies around the world. This is a critical point in compute history, and we have seen it before in open source software, and we're seeing it now as open standard hardware takes hold, and that is what is making RISC-V inevitable. We'll get into this more. RISC-V, second, enables the best processors. This is by design. By design, by taking a truly modular approach, enacting things like vector, upholding strong security standards, and other mechanisms that allow you to realize the freedom of design enables you to be more competitive, to be more differentiated, to tackle challenges you couldn't have done on another architecture. Finally, RISC-V is building the strongest ecosystem. What has taken other architectures decades to accomplish, RISC-V is doing in a small handful of years. We are on a trajectory because of the collective investment of an entire community. This is not on the shoulders of just one stakeholder or one proprietary interest. This is on the shoulders of all of us, and working together is where we're realizing that potential. So, let's recap. RISC-V is inevitable. We have more than 10 billion cores in market already, including announcements like Qualcomm standing on stage in December saying we have 650 million cores in market. That was Qualcomm. What is your story going to be? And I challenge you on that. Innovation and adoption is being seen at all parts of the compute spectrum. We've seen this in embedded. We've been coming here for years. And we're starting to see that now proliferate with high-performance processors across numerous different stakeholders in the community. That shared investment, that collective investment, is reducing the risk of strategically choosing RISC-V, and it is also engaging an entire ecosystem faster than any one single vested interest could do. So RISC-V is indeed inevitable. We've crossed the chasm. We are well beyond turning back at this point. So let's talk about that accelerated shared investment. So you have Intel planting $1 billion flag on RISC-V about a year ago. Does that sound familiar at all? $1 billion flag. Well, I'll tell you what, about 22 years ago, IBM did the same thing for Linux. And that unleashed a turning point in software, right? So that turning point is here in hardware, and this is not the first time we've seen that, but this is not just Intel alone. The collective investment in RISC-V is multiple billions. So numerous roadmaps by corporate interests and proprietary stakeholders, as well as those contributing to the open ecosystem. Billions in government investment. We're hearing time and again how the European Union is specifying RISC-V for HPC, for space initiatives, and for other initiatives around Europe. This is so important because when you make an investment as a government, you need to invest locally but engage globally. And open standards, open source is the only way that you're going to transcend those barriers. This enables all of your stakeholders to realize potential in supply chains, development partners, access to IP, and to transcend those types of boundaries. So the billions of dollars that we collectively invest are also catching the attention of venture capitalists and other investors. In fact, another investment group just came out with another report in the last couple of weeks. Institutional investors as well as venture capitalists are getting interested in RISC-V. They're asking their largest companies, their largest technical interests, what is your RISC-V strategy? Where are you at on RISC-V? And they're expected to have those answers. So let's talk about specific interests from automotive. We see Mobileye continue to progress in Paris, who is part of the booth here today. And Paris has been dedicated to RISC-V for some time, and it is the tools and advanced design verification that is very instrumental. MIPS has been, pivoting their entire strategy, and Itai is here as well. And we see the MIPS strategy pivoting, and automotive is central to that. You also continue to see progress from Imagination, who is at the show, as well as Sci-Fi. Automotive is growing very fast, by the way. I'm not sure if you caught the statistic on the last page, but 10% of the market is going to be coming to RISC-V. And this is part of an overall opportunity growth. Data center and cloud. So this is the part where we start to talk about high performance, whether it's adding additional capability to existing processors or coming through with high performance processors. So Alibaba has been declaring their overall roadmap for some time. Esperanto has been leading this revolution in some of their AI acceleration. We see things coming out from Ventana, Tenstorrent, Andes, Intel. Everyone's starting to engage and say, perhaps primary processing, high performance, or let's add AI to what I'm doing in the cloud, to what I'm doing in data center. How can that make me more differentiated and more competitive? Telecom and communications. I've already mentioned to you that Qualcomm has revealed that they're up to 650 million cores. That's pretty profound. Andes has been using RISC-V and leveraging their investments in RISC-V for some time. Open and programmable 5G platform. Alibaba leading the charge for us to bring Android to RISC-V, and now Google also engaging more fully. In fact, the lead for Android now sits on our board. And that is an important testament to the importance of bringing that ecosystem onto RISC-V. If it can run on other architectures, it's not a big leap to run on RISC-V, and that's what the ecosystem is starting to see. By the way, that's like business 101. When you put together your investment portfolio or your retirement or something, you never bet it all on one stock or one mutual fund or something like that. It's the same thing in business, right? So place multiple bets, different industries, and if you're not already on RISC-V, now is the time. So consumer and IoT devices. This is, again, one of the areas that has been home to RISC-V for some time. The Android open source project, Asperaf and other companies who've been bringing RISC-V into earbuds and other consumer devices, Microchip coming through with their portfolio, Sci-Fi on wearables, smart home, VR, industrial IoT. This list has been long and growing for some time. AI and ML, as I've mentioned, whether it's inference or other types of AI and other types of references, we see this being added into everything from embedded all the way through to the biggest scale-out HPC. So these are a few of those examples. Again, you see many of the folks who are in this booth. Please take time to talk with them. In HPC, it's been great to see the European Union continue to invest in HPC and to continue to specify RISC-V. This is not only helping with those high performance workloads, but it is igniting and accelerating adoption of RISC-V across many different stakeholders, whether those are companies, universities, research institutes, or entrepreneurs. Those are opportunities that help us all have that collective momentum. So we're on point number 2. RISC-V enables the best processors. So think about the types of capabilities that you're either burdened with and don't need from another architecture, or that you wish that you could custom design and bring into your particular implementation. These are the types of capabilities that may help you reduce power, may help you differentiate, may help you go somewhere else on that price performance curve. So it's sort of like Moore's law is price performance, and oh, now we have design freedom too. That is a variable that will help you catapult forward in the market. And that's what's important to me. My vested interest here is not like, how big can I grow RISC-V International? It's how big and how successful can we help this community grow to fundamentally change the course of computing. And that's what you can do when you take that open collaborative approach. So the support of this massive community inspires competition. It gets rid of the, sort of the low-hanging fruit through collaboration, also known as commoditizing the base building blocks. So we take care of that so that you can spend your energy, you can spend your resources to get to that layer of differentiation. This is not the first time in history something like this has happened. So when you think back to proprietary networking in the data center that pretty much brought you in with networking as well as your servers and your engineers, everybody was kind of in the same proprietary boat. Then along came Ethernet, and you suddenly had choice. You could design your data center however you like, because we're all plugging into the same global standard. That's what RISC-V is doing for computing. It's the same thing that Ethernet did to data centers. You see this part up here that says primary predecessor, obsolete. It's a career-ending kind of move if you start to take a more proprietary approach to networking without sound reason to not go with Ethernet. So the same thing is coming true for RISC-V. In fact, we're seeing that from startups to multinationals and everyone in between. So performance enables the best processors. Well, what is the best to you? Is it power? Is it price? Is it performance? Is it something else? Do you have a footprint that you need to stay within? Do you have a fab that has room for this but not that? What are the dimensions that makes it the best for you? And those are things that you can achieve through custom design. And by the way, folks are beginning to measure these. And this is a short list of examples where benchmarks are coming together. We are rapidly enabling the strongest ecosystem. Strongest because the risk of the longevity of any selected solution is not necessarily on one particular stakeholder. But this is shared risk. This is collective investment. We are taking a very thoughtful approach to this, by the way. Single hypervisor standard, we have more than 10,000 developers on RISC-V today, and taking a very modern, modular, by design, plug and play type of an approach. So every now and then we hear words like, ooh, fragmentation. We are actually avoiding fragmentation. We're avoiding this by making sure that the forces against fragmenting or the forces against paving your own way off into the wilderness are things you want to avoid because you want to be risk averse. You want to design for the future. If you're designing for the future, you're not going off into the woods on your own. You're going collectively in a group and saying like, all right, let's all agree on these base building blocks and don't change them. Right? So you're safeguarding against fragmentation because no one wants vendor lock-in and no one or country or company can afford to go it alone. So no one wants to be locked into one proprietary strategic direction and no one wants to go it alone. So that's where we come to the middle in collaboration. And by the way, if someone's pointing a fragmentation finger at us, I encourage them to point that in a mirror, because like many ices have different flavors already. And so those multiple ices are kind of signaling fragmentation. So there is something called diversity. This is not solving the same problem in 10 different ways. This is solving 10 different problems. So how can you solve 10 different problems using the same base ISA? Modularity, right? Modularity and the ability to pick a base plus the extensions that are necessary for the challenge that you're trying to overcome. So we are now bundling these into things called profiles and platforms that are sort of like composing these ingredients into chocolate chip cookies or a loaf of bread, right? And the ratios of things, whether or not you throw in the chocolate chips, is really up to you. So these are where we're going with profiles and platforms. In fact, in my board meeting next week, we'll be ratifying these. And these are the things that are most essential. So yeah, that's a sneak peek, ratification coming next week. That is important to us. But that ecosystem is growing really, really fast. This chart is actually like way out of date at this point, because we've started an entirely new model because we're just not able to keep cramming and scramming logos onto a chart. And we want to be able to look at this from different dimensions. This is just a snapshot saying, listen, we are filling out this ecosystem really rapidly. Hundreds of companies are already on board. In fact, we have more than 300 already. We have more than 3,000 members in our ecosystem today. This is continuing at a pretty rapid clip. And in 2022, we grew more than 30%. It's a pretty good growth year for us. If you have not already joined RISC-V, this is my sales pitch. Here's what I can do for you. Okay? I promise you, you can get more value out of us than the dollars I ask for you in membership. We have a very small staff, trust me. But these are the 6 programs that we're delivering to our members to help you be wildly successful. Technical deliverables, all the base building blocks that are important to realizing your modular designs and those futures. Compatibility and verification. You're going to see a lot on this year. In fact, Alibaba just put out the first official RISC-V compatible certified processors about a week ago. Marketing. Let us amplify all the great things that you're doing, whether those are blogs or events or speaking opportunities. Let us help wave that flag for you. Learning and talent. We have online learning. We just launched a RISC-V certification program. Very valuable for your talent and securing new talent to join your team. Connecting with universities as well as training partners to help bring everybody up to speed. Advocacy and alliances. We have dozens and dozens of advocates around the world hosting meetups of engineers talking to engineers to help understand, overcome challenges, and build community on the ground. And that's true of alliances, whether those are geographic or by subject matter expertise. And then RISC-V Exchange, which is sort of like a marketplace, all things RISC-V. And by the way, we do career postings too, so job postings. If you have job postings for RISC-V talent, let us know. We'll post it up. No worries there. So let me close with this. Build RISC-V into your strategy, into your team, yourself, your company. These are the things that will cement your position in this future of computing. It is so important. And by the way, it'll reap benefits back on you. Folks who are engaged in our community are incredibly passionate and talented, working shoulder to shoulder with the brightest minds in our industry. This is a fast track to learning. It's a fast track to your own development roadmaps. And it's something that is invaluable to you as well as helping us usher in this next generation. So thank you so much. Enjoy the show. Please talk to our sponsors here. They are fantastic and as passionate as I've promised. I'll tell you that. Thanks.